Hi everyone, welcome to Lights, Camera, Action. I am your host, Allison Howard, and today we have two actresses from the Washington, D.C. area who we're going to be talking to about some of the upcoming projects that they've been doing and how they got into acting, because in D.C. you wouldn't necessarily think of artists, you would think of politicians, but we actually have a large group of actors and actresses that are in the area, so we're going to meet two of them. Today we have Suib and Liza Kravinsky. Thank you so much for coming. It's so great having you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
Let's just start off. How did you guys get into acting?
You want to start?
Me first? Okay. I started in high school, doing school plays, and I did a little in college. But I was always a musician, so I wasn't that serious about that. And I was in the music recording industry. And then I said, no, you know what, I'm going to settle down and write music for television and videos. Eventually, I got a job as an in-house composer at a film and video production company. And while I was not writing music, I mean, I was writing music, but then when I had some free time, I started producing their videos as well. And so I learned how to be more of a video producer. And for one project, I had to hire a whole bunch of actors.
Oh.
And in the DC area, which has actually the third largest film and video production industry in the country.
Which is unbelievable, because you wouldn't necessarily think of it for the arts whatsoever.
Right. I mean, if you think of documentaries and corporate stuff and government stuff, there's a lot of, there's PBS here and National Geographic and Discovery Channel. There's a lot of production going on here. But anyway, in this particular market, there's a need to be balanced with the casting racially. You know, you have to have you know, white people, black people, Asian, Hispanic, you know, have a nice, so I had to cast accordingly, and I had the hardest time finding Asian actors and Hispanic actors, and that's when I remembered I used to act, and I said, I'm going to be an actress as well. So that's how I started doing it seriously for money, and I've been doing it since.
That's so exciting. Mary, how about you? How'd you get your start?
Well, actually, I was sort of an only child who lived out in the country.
Okay.
And so even as a little child, I used to go out in the yard and make up things. And I would be all kinds of people and all kinds of things as I played with myself in the yard. Then when I was in school, I got to be a lead in 3rd grade. And I loved it. And so I continued to do whatever could come up, but it didn't seem to be the kind of thing. My mother thought that maybe if I liked these things, I could be in a women's club and give talks. But that never seemed to be the right thing. I did some plays in high school. I wanted to do it in college, but my mother was very much against it. She didn't like that kind of person that I would be associating with. And so she interfered with a lot of my life. However, I always wanted to do it. And despite the fact that I did other things, I just kept slipping in the door and doing some more acting wherever I could.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's great when you have a dream and you don't necessarily, like, you've obviously found it again and I've been continuing with it. So that's awesome that you've been able to get back into it. So do you guys have any upcoming projects or any sort of big things that you guys have done recently that you guys want to talk about?
Well, I have been doing an awful lot of stage work.
Yes.
And I've been pretty lucky because I've been employed pretty much continually doing stage work, and I do love stage work. So the big thing that's coming up right now is I'm going to get to play Violet Weston in August of Sage County. And she is just such a feisty, tough kind of lady. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I do acting on a freelance basis for corporate stuff, so I don't have any particular acting news that's coming up. It just comes just like that, and I get a job, and then it's done. But what I'm doing as a composer is I'm composing a go-go symphony, which is a symphony that incorporates the go-go beat of Washington, D.C. that was popularized or finessed by Chuck Brown. And it's basically a symphony you can dance to. So keep an eye out for it. And Go-Go Symphony, it's on Facebook.
Now, are there any particular venues that you guys are trying to get in with, or have you had you've had a chance to perform this?
Yeah, George Mason University has been letting me workshop and play around with it. You know, as a film composer, I've been mainly working with synthesizers and computers. So I went back to George Mason University to fine-tune and, you know, become more familiar again with more live instruments. So yeah, I've been experimenting with their orchestras, and next year, actually in April, it will be performed by a new music ensemble. I don't want to get too much into it because it's not set in stone, but next year it might get performed. And if that doesn't turn out, I'm going to just do my own music video, and maybe I'd like to bring a symphony orchestra or a small classical ensemble to a club and have people dance to it or something like that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Or you could do a flash mob on the mall.
Yeah, I'd love to do stuff like that. I'd like to bring classical music and mix it with the dance beat, especially the go-go music, because, you know, both genres need to be experienced live. That's why they're so good for each other.
Right.
I'd like to just bring it out to the people where they are.
That would be fascinating to watch, and I'm sure that whole composition process was incredibly time-consuming.
Yes.
Now, you have a degree in composition, correct? So is that what you kind of went to school for?
Yeah, I went to Oberlin College to study music, but I didn't major in music.
Okay.
Yeah. Mainly because I had never had any formal training in it.
Okay.
Well, it was more like a red tape thing. I didn't realize you had to apply to the conservatory as well as the college. So I got into the college, but I took courses at the conservatory. And by the time I would have been qualified to major in it, I decided I didn't want to major in it anyway because I didn't quite fit in with their philosophy of what's important in music. I still wanted audiences to like the music that I created, and they were more into, I don't know, this weird avant-garde stuff, which is legitimate, but it just wasn't my style.
That's interesting. So you've done live performances, and you've also worked on film, as you have as well. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer theater or live performances, or do you prefer things that are on film? I think that's interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I think I forgot to put in my story about myself. I did act in a play with the studio theater called Made in Bangkok. And I played 4 roles, a little girl and 3 prostitutes. And it was a play about some tourists and their experience with prostitutes in Bangkok.
Oh, boy.
I know, and then after that there was like another play they were asking us to audition. It was more for more prostitutes, and that's like
I don't want to be typecast as that.
Well, you know, after that, that's one of the reasons why I decided not to take acting seriously, is because of my ethnicity in this country. I just would get prostitutes or Connie Chung roles or something, you know, and there's not very many roles, so that's why I've never been serious about it. But anyway, I was in a play in studio theater, and that was very exciting because you can't do take 1 and take 2 and take 3. You can't redo it. It's right there, and if something goes wrong, you have to just make it work somehow and keep going. I remember once there was a set change from a hotel lobby to an airport, and they changed the set really quickly, and a leaf from the plant, from the lobby set, fell on the floor, and it became an airport, but there was this leaf in the middle of the stage, and it was very distracting, and I had to find a way to pick up the leaf and make it be part of the play and take it out of the set, and it just worked. I just love the stage because it's just so, there's an adrenaline rush to making things work even if something goes wrong. And there's something about having the audience right there reacting to everything you do.
Yes.
When you're doing film, it's the film crew. It's
Who
not
can be fun.
Yeah, it's different. It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. I like it too.
Yeah.
It's apples and oranges.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like the feeling of the audience as well. There's a sense, and sometimes when you're working well and when things are really going well, you feel like you own them. You're like able to orchestrate their feelings and their reaction, and that's a lot of fun. So I do enjoy it. But I was interested that you said you went to George Mason, because I am going to George Mason now too, as an auditing student, and my question being is the fact that, well, I decided that I'd go back and take some classes to renew my thinking, and it's been very good. It forces me to rethink things and to look at things from another perspective.
Yeah.
She may be ethnic and have her problems getting roles, but I have the case of the fact that I am a senior lady, and you'd be surprised how few people are interested in senior ladies, no matter what they're able to do.
Well, wait a minute. You know, what I found, I couldn't get very many stage roles, and I probably can't get a lot of feature film roles unless I make my own film or something. But when I got into the corporate world, and they want Asians, they want, you know, Hispanic, they're also looking for older people.
If you are over 50 years old, the line is no, go
Really?
away.
That's
Ooh,
not
we
what I
do
thought.
not want to see you. We know you have already died.
What? Wait a minute. Where's this? Casting agencies?
Yeah.
Who?
Very well. If you go to any of the casting agencies, you are like, who, you?
No, that's not been my experience.
Well, you are not me.
Actually, I walked into a casting agency, and I said, you know, I'd like to be considered for, you know, jobs. And they said, well, do you want to know who our most popular actresses are? And they pulled out a headshot of this woman, and she must have been in her 60s with white hair. I said, these are the people that are earning the most money. I was in my 30s at the time. So.
They say different things to different people, and I know which agency you must have been at, but they don't know what they're talking about.
Oh.
They say anything.
Because I work with a lot of people. Okay, anyway.
Good.
Well,
Okay.
no, this is interesting to hear about. Are there any particular either things that are huge misconceptions or things that people don't necessarily think about who are on the outside looking in at us being actors and actresses in this area? Like, for instance, walking into a casting director and talking to them. I'm sure that a lot of people think, oh, it's no big deal. It's just a person talking to a person. But is there anything that you guys have come across that are serious misconceptions that people just think it's like, oh, well, that would be easy to do, but in fact it's not that way at all, or that it's...
Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about being easy, but I think the big misconception in this area is they're only looking for people in their 20s or whatever, a certain like Hollywood look. But this is Washington D.C. area, and
It's not a Hollywood look. No, it's another look. But I found that. I mean, I found myself being caught with this. But stage work, I'm doing fine. I'm working because I have this show now. I have a show coming up for the summer, and then I have another show coming up for the fall. So
you are booked solid.
Yep.
So then,
yeah,
you're not prone.
So you have
no problems.
There are no problems.
Okay. No, because but I don't do film work. I rarely do film work.
Yeah.
But I did it with you, and I had a wonderful time.
Yes, we were in The Pharmacist together. And so she was you played a pharmacy customer, and I played the pharmacy assistant. And so the two of us had a nice little conversation in it, and it was great to work with you. And you brought such a dynamic to the whole scene, the whole set, really, and the whole film, because the conversation that we had, I mess up, and she's upset that I have messed things up in the insurance company, and all this stuff gets pulled into play. And I mean, it was wonderful. So there are obviously film roles that you fit and that you'll be able to get.
I guess.
Yeah. I don't get film roles, and I was right. It's I'm in that world being ethnic. But in the corporate Washington D.C. government industrial world, oh yeah, I'm fine, and since I'm not that serious, But it would be nice to get some feature film roles. It would be artistically interesting to play a really juicy film role.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Now, are there any particular roles that you guys haven't played yet that you would like to play? So, like, if you were to get the best role in your eyes, what would it be?
It would be a feature film role about a normal person. It doesn't have to be about an Asian woman. You know, like, for example, Friends. They're set in San Francisco. Whole bunch of Asians there. Not one in that cast, you know. Yeah. Or ER, there's one, you know, Asian doctor. Okay, you go to any ER, any hospital, whole bunch of Asians there. You know, I just like to play a normal feature, juicy role.
You wouldn't want to play like a vixen or
I could
like
do that. I could do character roles.
Yes.
I'm good at character roles, but probably because of my ethnic background, I always got the character roles in high school and stuff.
Okay.
So it would be actually a challenge to play a more normal person.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's always. I always find that the characters that are the normal roles are always the ones that are the most difficult to play, because I have a hard like if you have a quirk about you, I feel like it's easy to play that up, as opposed to just being normal and having to make that interesting for the viewer to watch, because otherwise it's like, well, she's just talking. I could talk.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah.
So is there a particular type of role? Like, would you play a superhero?
Well, I did like my superhero. I did a superhero for the 48-hour film festival.
Did you?
I was Lady Time, and I had this power to be able to stop things in time. But my power was fading.
Oh.
So I had a wonderful time playing with it, because I got to supposedly practice stopping things, and I was throwing dishes up in the air and trying to stop them. And I got to smash them all over the floor. It was sort of fun.
I can imagine that being a nice release, just throwing things and just having a good time with that.
But I think I really do like stage work, and I really like the chance to do roles that were written by really good playwrights.
Yes.
The quality of the literature, the quality of the language, the quality of the story, make it just really wonderful to do.
That's awesome. So I do have another question. Since both of you have had a chance to get into like composition and acting on stage and also in film, are there any other aspects of either theater or film that you guys would like to get into? Either writing, directing, producing, costumes, makeup. Is there any other aspect that you guys have ever considered getting into?
Well, like I said, I was a video producer.
Yes.
And I actually have an independent documentary called Beauty in the Eyes of the Beheld, where I interviewed women who were referred to me because they are considered beautiful by others around them. And I asked them what it's like to be beautiful, and I got the typical predictable answers, but I got some surprising stories as well. And yeah, that was interesting. And it made, you know, it toured in college showings and film festivals, and
That's awesome.
it's now in distribution. So yeah, that's something I did. That was one of the first things where I said, you know what, I'm going to go with my own idea. This is a little different. Let me try this, and it worked.
Wow. So you came up with the entire premise for the documentary,
Yes.
and you found these people by referrals. These women. Now, did you do any men? Beautiful men? Like really handsome
I thought about
men?
that. Yeah, but it's kind of different for them, and there were so many different experiences within the women's world that if I were to involve the men, it would have diluted the whole thing.
Okay.
So I decided to concentrate on women, and another reason for that was because women have historically been more pinned with the issue of beauty than men have. But I realized that men are definitely also affected by looks.
Yes. That'd be interesting to do, like a part 2.
Yeah. I'd also like to do probably a sequel from the women that I interviewed, just to see how they deal with aging.
Oh, wow.
And see how they, like every 10 years, see
Yeah,
what happens.
because in our society, aging is a huge thing that people, you know, try and reverse, and they do all these different things and everything. So that would be interesting for you to do.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
Yeah.
Mary, how about you?
Well, I would like to write and do a one-woman show. And I have a character that I've gotten very interested in. Her name is Frances Perkins. She was FDR's Secretary of Labor. She was the first woman to be in a presidential cabinet. And I've done some research on her, and I found her a very, very fascinating lady. So if I could ever get myself together enough and stop procrastinating, I might be able to take and put these words down.
I bet that would sell, especially here, being the political center of the world. I mean...
And she's a very interesting lady, and not that many people know of her.
Yeah.
So it would be, I think it would be interesting.
So would you play her?
Yes. I look like her.
Oh, okay.
I have seen some photographs of her, and I look a lot like her, especially if I wear a tricorn hat, which her mother said she was always supposed to wear because that was good for her face.
Really?
Well, that's her mother told her. So she always wore a tricorn hat.
The things we do and the things that we listen to, you know, it's kind of, it's bizarre. So is there anything that you guys, I can't remember if we touched on this, if you guys could go back in time and tell your younger version of yourself any sort of advice that you now have learned along the way, what would you tell them?
You go first.
After all the experiences that you've had, is there anything that you've learned that you wish you had known?
Well, I think one is to follow your passion. But I married young, had children, had a traveling husband, lots of things that interfered with following my passion. And yet I'm very happy. I have the same husband, I have the same children, and everybody's really very nice.
Yeah.
My advice to my younger self would be set the trends rather than follow them, because I was following the trends because I was so in a hurry to be successful that I lost track of the fact that the really successful people are the ones who set the trends. Yes. Even though it seems like the road less traveled, or it seems like the bumpier road, but it's actually the easier road to success, be it artistic or financial. So if I were to do it over again, I would just, you know, not worry about what trends are going on, and I just set my own path artistically.
You would be what is different, and that's
Yes.
interesting because you see like the carbon copy actors and actresses who have like the same look, like that Hollywood look, and it's like, but what, you need to find something about yourself that makes you different.
Yes.
You know, and so obviously there are different things that each of us bring to the table, and so each of those things are what we really should be, you know, banking on, or what, you know, the different skill sets and the different aspects that we all encompass that only we have, and those are what we need to bring. Just really quickly, just to wrap it up, what is the best part about being in the entertainment industry, about being an entertainer?
What I love best is the fact that I get to sort of live other lives.
Yes.
I like this chance to pretend to be, to experience a whole other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can echo that.
Yeah.
And also, I just feel like I'm just really part of the world when I create. I don't feel like I'm sitting back and just passively receiving the world. I feel like I'm being part of it and moving part of it and reaching people. It's really exciting.
I love, like how you guys said, playing other people, but it's also so much more. You're telling a story. And a lot of times, the stories that are the most real and the most relatable for an audience are the ones that have the biggest impact. And like you guys said, like the whole concept of becoming another person, you get to experience what that person might have felt and understand how they're thinking. So now you go back into your life and you might understand why people do the things that they do by playing them. You know what I mean?
And also by playing other people or creating situations that other people can understand, you have the ability to change the world. When people understand certain situations, that can change policies and stuff.
Yes, that's very true. But we should wrap it up. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming on my show. It's been great talking to you guys and learning about the different projects that you guys are going to be doing. We'll be looking out for you with August Osage County. Is that right? And your documentary, Eyes in the
Beauty in the Eyes of the Beheld.
Beauty in the Eyes of the Beheld, and also your Go-Go Symphony.
Yeah, Go Symphony.
That's so amazing. That's so awesome. We have a musician. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys view next week, and we will be bringing on more actors and actresses in the area. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.